And I didn't want to open that. Why is this up here now? What is this window? Get out of here. Go away. Why is it just opening, like, windows that I don't have up? Oh, I know what that is. That's for the messenger. I don't need that up. That was the tracker. I need Phoenix Wright. There we go. Alright, everything looks good. Alright, so, from what I remember, we have no idea what to do. What evidence do we have? The suicide report. I don't think she would know anything. He doesn't know anything. She doesn't know anything. So we need to find something else. What's this about Miss Andrews having a dependent nature? Adrian Andrews' attempt at suicide was a few days after the death of Celeste Impacts. And why did Adrian Andrews think about committing suicide? Because she had apparently lost her will to live. Lost her will? But why would she? Her pillar of strength, her mentor, Celeste Impacts, was gone forever, that's why. Why would that... Is this what they call following someone to the grave? After her attempted suicide, Adrian Andrews started attending counseling sessions. She is someone who needs a person in whom she can trust absolutely. And once she finds that person, she'll do anything she can to keep them near. Without such an anchor in her life, her crippling anxiety stifles her ability to live. And that's the nature of her dependency on others? when Celeste Impact suddenly committed suicide. The world before her turned pitch dark. That's according to Adrian Andrews herself. Then, that means her super confident attitude. It's all a facade. She's only copying her mentor's behavior to hold herself together. How terrible. Well, I think that's the information I needed. He's not back. I don't think she's gonna be of any help. I don't think this guy's gonna be of any help either. What if I go to On Guard's room? Alright, now this updated. Oh, Miss Andrews is here. But it looks like she's talking with them. That's Franziska von Karma. Miss von Karma? What are you doing here? Well, you see, I'm his lawyer, so... You've got some nerve following me around. Following you? That's you, Miss Von Karma. You're the one doing the following. Pearls. You're always following after that Mr. Detective with the little beard. Me? Following after Scruffy? Don't make me laugh. Let me show you something interesting, little girl. What is that? It's an electromagnetic receiver. Oh great, she's tracking him. I planted a tracking device on that detective. And with this, I know that fool's every move. So that noise we heard was this receiver. I feel really sorry for the poor Detective Gumshoe now. Now then, let's stop wasting time. Adrian Andrews. Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? Alright. What were those two talking about? Miss Andrews, she seems a little dazed, doesn't she? Let's present to her this person. I'd like to ask you about this. I told you. Well, she didn't even look at it. How about this? This? Maybe I would have to use it for this. Why was Juan Corrida murdered? If you ask me, I think you know the reason why he was killed. Why are you hiding things? Yeah. Alright, then we show her the magazine article. For this person's sake. This person. Celeste Impacts, your mentor. How do you know about Celeste? Miss Impact, she committed suicide, didn't she? But it looks like no one knows why. Right before her death, she was Juan Corda's manager. So I believe you got close to Mr. Corda so you could find out more about her suicide. You have a great imagination. You may have a future yet as a slimy muckraker for a putrid third-rate tabloid. Miss Andrews? There was no mystery surrounding her death. None. It would be pointless for me to force myself into a relationship for nothing. Is that really true? Was there really no mystery at all? I don't believe you were completely at ease with the way her suicide was resolved. The suicide note was hidden. Miss Impax's suicide note was never found, was it? Looks like the police were under the suspicion that someone had hidden it. Like maybe the person who discovered her body, Mr. Corda. Juan? And Miss Andrews, I believe you thought the same thing. That is why you became intimate with Mr. Corda. I've sat by quietly and listened to your insulting ramblings long enough. It's true that Celeste was my mentor. However, allow me to say this again. It had nothing to do with me. I didn't even know that her suicide note was never found. I'm a person who doesn't care about what goes on in the lives of others. That's the impression you like to give, however. I don't think that's who you really are. What? I have evidence that says otherwise. Miss Andrews, you nearly went through with it too, didn't you? Went through with what? Ending your life. Miss Andrews, you look and act like a very strong woman who has it all together. You don't ask for anyone's help, relying only on yourself. Yes, I've been very independent ever since I can remember. However, that is all just a lie, a facade. You've always searched out people on whom you can depend on. You were dependent on Miss Impax, weren't you? Which is why, when she passed away, you lost everything you had. Stop! When Celeste passed away so suddenly like that, I died a death of my own, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't stop thinking about what had become of her note. You must have heard about the police report. The one that said the police suspected Mr. Corda of hiding Miss Impax's note. You heard about it, and you thought to recover it from him by getting close, am I right? That's the case, then everything changes. What do you mean? What topic did we start this conversation on again? It was why was the victim killed? Exactly. Somehow, Miss Andrews, seems that you have become the one with a reason to want Mr. Corda dead. Me? Miss Impax was everything to you. And then she died. And you would do anything to find out why she killed herself. Even commit murder. Murder? It's true, I am a woman who can only live in insecurity. I'm physically small, and I don't really have a lot of self-confidence. I've pushed against all that, though. I've tried to live strongly. I never wanted anyone to find out the truth. Miss Andrews, this one thing, it's the one thing I wanted to take with me to the grave. It was my secret, mine and mine alone. I'm sorry. You probably think I'm a worthless human being right now, don't you? Please, Miss Andrews, all I want to know is the truth. After Celeste passed away, I heard that someone had hidden her suicide note. And that someone was Juan Corrida. Celeste. Without her I became scared. Everyone seemed like they were out to get me. So you got close to Mr. Corrida to recover her suicide note, correct? Looks like that tabloid reported the truth after all. Ironic, isn't it? Well, like they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And if they purposely add fuel to the fire, they keep the celebrity world burning. But as for the suicide note, I didn't and wouldn't kill anyone for it. It just doesn't suit me, that's all. Well, that's enough for now. I still have work to do, so I understand. Oh, I have one small favor to ask. My attempted suicide. I'd like for you to keep it a secret. Miss Andrews, if people found out about my weakness, I would sooner choose to die than live. But alright, I understand. We'll keep it a secret. Miss Andrews, I guess she's the overthinking type. Probably never says anything without carefully thinking it through first. Thank you for your discretion. Mr. Nick, can I ask you something? What is it? Miss Andrews has been playing with that card in her hand ever since a little while back. That card, yeah, I guess she has. Miss Andrews, what is that card you're holding? Huh? Oh, this? I don't quite know, I just suddenly appeared in my handbag. What is it? It looks like a seashell? That's what it looks like, doesn't it? Honestly, I don't remember owning this card. I wonder where I picked it up from. For not remembering something clearly, sounds like it would be a rare occurrence. Well, I must be off. I leave Mr. On Guard in your capable hands. Well, I think we've gathered about all we can. What about Mystic Maya? Is she alright? Oh, Pros. She looks so worn out by all this. She hasn't slept at all, and has been walking all over the place with me today. What's wrong, Mr. Nick? Let's go back to the office for a little while. You're really tired, right? Oh no. I'm okay, really. I'm fine. I really am. You don't look fine to me. So, what now? Well, we did find one thing out for sure. Miss Andrews has a motive. You mean Miss Impax's suicide note? That's right. She was also the one to discover the victim's body. Clever. Ah, Mr. Nick, the transceiver. Hello? Wright & Co. Law Offices. Mr. Attorney, you're not answering a phone. Maya, where's Maya? As I promised, I have not gone within a few feet of her this whole time. Phew. Which is why I suppose she is absolutely famished. What? So I suggest you win a quick acquittal, my friend. At any cost, wouldn't you agree? Wait, Maya, let me hear her. Very well. Ask my... Maya, is that you? Sis! Ask my sis! Maya, Maya! Damn it, he cut me off. Misty Maya said, ask my sis, didn't she? Sis? What does she mean by that? Come on, Phoenix. You're a hopeless one. Sorry. Ack! Mia! I have a message from Maya, so come ask me anything you want about her. How's Maya? She's safe for now. That kidnapper is one to keep his word, it seems. I'm glad to hear she's safe. But Mia, how did you know? Soon as she was locked up, Maya called for me. I read the note she left, and I gathered as much information about her surroundings as I could. I didn't know you could use spirit channeling like that. Pretty smart of her. The kidnapper. What's he like? I don't know. Apparently, Maya went to answer a phone call at the hotel and was drugged there. And? She didn't see the face of her attacker. Maya is locked up in a very dark place right now. I'll tell you everything I heard when I was with her. When you were with her. I'm starving. I could really go for some apple pie. I mean, at a time like this, sweets are the only way to go. I've got to stay positive. He promised he wasn't going to kill me. I'm not going to die. Sis, I wonder if you're with Nick right now. What's this? It feels like there's a lot of glass bottles here. And these... they feel like barrels. I'll pass. Too bad I'm really hungry and not really thirsty. There's all sorts of things piled up here, but it's too dark to see. Ooh. Huh? Someone dropped a card here. Kinda looks like a business card, but there's no name on it. A seashell. It's a picture of a seashell, I think. What a strange card. Drat. It's locked. But this door's lock seems easy enough to open. On TV, the hero uses a plastic card or a stiff piece of cardboard. Then click, they magically open the door. Wonder if there's a card like that around here I could use. Ah, that's it. This shell card. If I use this, maybe I can get the door open. This might be the key out of here. I had a feeling this card might be useful. I'm such a genius. Alright, now if you'll excuse me, Mr. Kidnapper. Click. I did it! Okay, now I'm getting the heck out of here. I shouldn't keep Nick waiting, or worried. Adrian did it? That's what it looks like. Dude, no way! That woman couldn't do anything like that. In court today, there will be a mountain of evidence that will implicate you. A mountain of evidence? I'm certain there is someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you. Please, Mr. Lawyer, dude, like I said yesterday. I'm refreshing like a spring breeze, alright? I can't let any sort of scandal ruin that. I understand. Well, it's almost time. Mia, we must get a complete acquittal today. I know, but I can't focus on Maya's situation right now. Or Pearl's either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of the day. Indeed, well, let's get going. It's him. This is Wright. Good morning. This is Mr. Attorney. The day of the trial. Maya, she's unharmed, right? Well, when I checked on her earlier this morning, she seemed a bit, how shall we say it, tired. Don't worry, people don't die that easily. Besides, what you really should be concentrating on is winning today's trial. Grr. For my sake, as well as yours, you must win today's trial, which is why I sent you a little present this morning. Present? What in the world would you want to give me? You'll figure it out once the trial starts, and even if you don't like my gift, I expect you to graciously accept it and win the trial, the day's contest, if you please. Wait. The kidnapper sent me a present? Mr. Lawyer, dude, who was that? No one. It has nothing to do with you, so forget you heard anything. Dude, did your nose just get longer? Court is now in session for the trial of Matt on Guard. Are the prosecution and defense ready? Well, I didn't see Von Karma over there. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Oh, I think I know what happens here. I say, Mr. Wright, what happened to Miss Von Karma? I don't know, Your Honor. Why are you getting mad at me? Your Honor! Please be quiet, bailiff. Court is in session. Yeah, I think I know what happens here. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now then, what is it? Prosecutor Von Karma has been hit by a car. No, it hasn't been hit. She wasn't hit by a car. She was injured in some way, though. This morning, Miss Von Karma was shot by an unknown gunman. What? Shot? Somehow, I think this is the present that man was talking about. His present? Miss Von Karma is the one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. If she were to disappear, it would be to your advantage. This is totally insane! Miss Von Karma, is she alright? I don't have that answer. She's alive and in stable condition. That's good. Phew. You're... Edgeworth music. Your Honor. Now I have to go up against Edgeworth. What are you doing? He took out Von Karma, which I've been destroying, and now Edgeworth is back. This is even worse. Due to the circumstances, Miss Franziska Von Karma cannot appear in court today. I, Miles Edgeworth, will be taking her place. The prosecution is ready, naturally. Miss Von Karma was shot in her right shoulder and is currently undergoing surgery. Luckily, I have looked this case over and am familiar with the details. The prosecution seeks to prove the guilt of Mr. Matt on Guard. The court acknowledges the prosecution. Right. I finally found the answer I was struggling for on my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the witness stand. Witness your name and occupation. My name is Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm a detective down at the precinct. For now. For now? After this trial's over, I'm supposed to turn in my badge, sir. Detective Gumshoe. The prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. Lift your head up and face forward like a proud officer, Detective Dick Gumshoe. Yes, sir. Now, let's have your testimony. If we want to explore the various facts of this case, we must start with that. Get ready, Phoenix. This is going to be one very rough fight. Yeah, it would have to be with Edgeworth as my opponent. The answer he was struggling for, interesting. Show me this answer you finally found, Edgeworth. This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes Award ceremony, sir. The victim, Juan Corda, was found dead in his hotel room. After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. At first, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later found out that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. After the award ceremony ended, the victim was alone in his room. Yes, sir. Both the victim and the defendant went alone to their rooms, sir. I see, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Would you please give us a brief timeline of what happened after the ceremony? Okay, pal. The ceremony started at 6 p.m. It ended around 8 p.m., and then there was a short break. A special post-ceremony show was supposed to start in the lobby 30 minutes later. And that's when the victim's body was found, correct? Which is to say, the murder occurred during that 30-minute break period. Please continue with your testimony, Detective. The person who discovered the victim's body was Adrian Andrews, correct? Yeah. Who is this Adrian Andrews you're talking about? She's the defendant, Matt Ungard's manager. She is a really pretty lady, sir. Ah, so she's a pretty lady. I wonder if she will grace us with her presence. When the post-ceremony show was about to start, she went to get Mr. Ungard. After visiting his room, she next went to the victim's room to get him for the show, sir. I see. And that's when she found the victim's body. The cause of death. Wasn't that because Mr. Corda was stabbed in the chest? Only a careless amateur would believe something so brainless as that, pal. Take a good, hard look at the crime photo. Now, real pro's attention would be drawn here, to this bandana. Where? Banana. No, he said bandana. His bandana, sir. That's the thing wrapped tightly around his neck, sir. Ah, yes, yes, I see. His banana-scented bandana. Then, what about the knife? It seems to have been stuck in the victim's chest on purpose after his death. Very suspicious. We have a crafty murderer on our hands here. And why did you think that? Because it was empty, pal. The Jammin' Ninja doesn't go anywhere without his bright red guitar, and we couldn't find it anywhere at the scene of the crime. Oh, then how about this theory? Fan really wanted the guitar and did the crime to get it. How's that? We thought of that too, but... the only fingerprints on the guitar case were the victims. Only the victims, huh? I see. So much for my theory then. Well, I mean, he could have opened it with gloves. What convinced you it had nothing to do with the case? The guitar wasn't at the Gatewater Hotel that night. Well then, where was it? Bright red guitar was eventually found at the TV studio. The victim, Juan Corda, had apparently only taken the case with him, sir. So you mean he forgot to put the guitar inside the case? Yes, sir, even when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar. So that guitar case was empty even before he got to the hotel. Yeah, that's right. So it really had nothing to do with the case after all. I believe that is enough. First, the victim was choked to death with his bandana. Then after the victim was dead, the killer deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Which brings me to my next point. Why then did the police arrest Matt on guard? Because there was reason enough to suspect him. Here it comes. Looks like Edgeworth's back in full swing. Very well, Detective Gumshoe, please testify about this matter. Yes, sir. Matt on guard and Juan Corda were huge rivals with each other. They each thought the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book. As for evidence, there's the Jammin' Ninja's button. It was ripped off the ninja costume and was found in Mr. On Guard's hakama. The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. The defendant bought the knife for the crime, which makes this a premeditated murder. So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing. It's sort of sticky on the handle, so the fingerprints came out pretty clear, sir. And there's this button. That was found in the defendant's clothes, was it? And this button also... And is this button also covered in blood? Yes, and we know that the blood on the victim is the victim, sir. What? All of this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it? Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honor. Ready to give in yet, Wright? I'll find the hole in your argument somehow. You can press as hard as you'd like. Just hurry up with your usual pointless questions. Grr. Alright, so we're gonna press through all this. But in terms of popularity, Mr. On Guard won, did he not? Yeah, but you know what's ironic, pal? Juan Corda was always one step behind Mr. On Guard in everything. This year it seemed like he'd finally caught up, ready for the big final showdown. But Mr. Corda lost the Grand Prix in the end. That is too bad, he must have been pretty downhearted after losing. Wait just 1 second here. Mr. On Guard was beating Mr. Corda in the popularity polls. Well, yeah, I guess, but... Which means that in the defendant's eyes, the victim was not a rival at all. Which means he had no motive to kill at all. Yes, I quite agree. Well, detective? It's not, well... I guess if you put it that way, then yeah, the defendant would have had no motive. Detective, I'm beginning to see why you were fired. Eh? No, not you too, Mr. Edgeworth, sir. I look forward to your pension negotiations. No! Now, detective, let's continue with the testimony. Sniffle, no, not my poor pension, too. Detective, if you value your money, I suggest you proceed. Yes, sir, we can talk about my pension later, sir. What about what I was saying? Hello? Anyone? Do you have any proof that button belonged to the victim? Huh? What do you mean, pal? Oh, let me put it this way. I'm asking you if you had any evidence to back up your claim that this button was ripped off the Jammin' Ninja's costume. Huh? But can't you tell just by looking at it? And the victim's blood is on it. Anyone could have smeared that blood on there afterward. Mr. Edgeworth, help me, sir! Alright, I knew it had to be this piece of evidence. Now, to reel this one in. Thread. Huh? The button was attached to the costume by thread, obviously. And that thread snapped when the button was torn off. If you match up the ends of the thread on the costume with the thread on the button, it's a perfect match. Yeah, that's it. They're a perfect match, pal. Irk. That's Edgeworth for you. Never misses a beat. When was this button found? Pretty soon after the body was found, we rounded up everyone who knew Mr. Corda. And then we did a search on them all. That's when we found the button. So it was almost immediately after the murder. The police didn't have the free time to lollygag and play tricks, unlike some people. Hey, what is he trying to say about me here? The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. Oh, wait, go back. Press. How were the fingerprints arranged on the knife? Huh? What do you mean, pal? By examining the fingerprints, can you determine how the defendant held the knife? For example, did he hold it normally or overhand? Oh, is that what you meant? Well, we didn't actually think of that. I can't believe the bumbling of this department. Hopeless. Were you paying attention to the testimony, right? The defendant's fingerprints were all over the knife. There is no way to determine how the knife was held at the moment of the murder. So, is the defendant the owner of this knife, then? There is no way this was premeditated murder, even if he bought the knife. Sorry, pal. This isn't some pocket knife. It doesn't fold, so it's not great for walking around with either. Alright, well, this is not good. If the prosecution can prove it was a premeditated murder, we're done for. Phoenix. Yes? There's something very interesting about what the detective just said now. Think carefully before it's too late. Be grateful. If the judge were more rash, he would have already pounded his gavel in closing. We're still in a world of trouble. Well, before any battle, you must find your enemy's weakness. So let's find the weakness in this testimony, no matter how small it may be, okay, Phoenix? Well, surely it has something to do with the knife. Ah, he did not buy it. It was from the Gatewater Hotel. Wait a second. What? So the basis of your argument is that this was a premeditated murder is simply that my client bought a knife beforehand. That's right, pal. The defendant did not buy this knife. Huh? Take a good look at the handle of this knife and you'll see what I'm talking about. Huh? It has a Gatewater seal set into the handle. Gatewater? I think I've heard that name somewhere before. That's the name of the hotel. The Gatewater Hotel. Uh-oh. The murder knife was actually property of the hotel, which means this murder was not premeditated. Yes, that is very true. This is a very big... Heh. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sorry, but the defense is simply too careless. What? I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined. How so? I admit this knife is hotel property. There is no one currently on the police force that is dumb enough to not realize this. But I didn't know. Oh. The question is, where did this knife come from? Why, that's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Corda's room. Incorrect. Sorry, Your Honor, but that is incorrect. The victim ate a last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, I would like to draw the court's attention to what is on top of the plate. There is a knife and fork on the table. Then, where in the world did this knife come from? If it pleases the court, I would like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matt Ungard. Especially what was on top of his table. There is something missing. Perhaps it is a single knife? We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, and while we were investigating, we came to the conclusion that Mr. Matt Ungard's knife was missing. Irk. But that would mean that anyone could have used Mr. Ungard's knife, because Mr. Ungard's knife is his knife, meaning he would have had his fingerprints all over it. Mr. Ungard had gone to the victim's room with the knife and he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife on a visit? To kill, of course. And with that, I believe the prosecution has proven this was a premeditated murder. Amazing, Mr. Edgeworth. Absolutely brilliant. A brilliantly clear deduction. Seems like Edgeworth had this planned from the very beginning. This must be one of those traps, and I just walked headlong into it. A murder weapon with fingerprints and a button from the victim's costume. There is quite a sizable amount of evidence here. I can safely say that any further deliberation is a waste of your Honor's time. Although, I wouldn't mind if the defense were to present evidence not yet shown to the court. What evidence? Evidence not yet shown? He means evidence that the court hasn't seen yet. In other words, new evidence. What does the defense have to say about this, Mr. Wright? Well... Phoenix. The judge is favoring the prosecution right now. If we answer with something wrong here, that gavel of his will be ringing out to the sound of our defeat. Mr. Wright, do you have something important and necessary to present to this court? I actually do. There's one piece of evidence that catches my attention, something that this court has yet to see. Mr. Wright, I will say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all. However, I am giving you one chance, and only one. What the judge is saying, right, is don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here. If I mess this up, it's curtains for all of us. You may now present one and only one piece of evidence. Now then, what is this important evidence that you must show to the court? this wine glass? This is a wine glass, is it not? Please look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. The scene is a mess because of the victim's struggle against his assailant. The vase was broken, or the vase was broken, his makeup was all over the floor. These were all things that were at one point sitting on top of the dresser. Well, yes, I see your point. However, this glass that is sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that had not fallen over along with everything else is this wine glass. This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. Well, what do you all have to say? Well, yes, it is a little peculiar. Yes, isn't it? I thought it was. You can stop looking at me with those puppy dog eyes of yours now. Mr. Edgeworth? What is it, Your Honor? Your opinion? Don't need my opinion, because there is no special meaning to that glass. What? Safe to say that the glass was set there after the crime took place. By the person who discovered the body, Adrian Andrews, for example. But isn't that suspicious? Why would she have a glass of tomato juice? She could have easily been so shocked that she set the glass down without thinking. That does sound very plausible, Mr. Wright. Could Miss Andrews really have set that glass down without thinking? There's no way. I appear weak here. The trial is over. I can look for my proof later. Now I should trust my instinct and point with certainty. They might just fall for it, if you're thought-provoking enough. The defense would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. You would like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the cup on the table. You've turned the situation on its head yet again, as usual. Mr. Edgeworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim? There's no way he has any, he's just bluffing. Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it. What? You're not thinking hard enough today, right? Did you think this wine glass escaped my notice? Then, of course it has been thoroughly inspected for fingerprints. There were only one set of fingerprints left on this wine glass. Only one? Well, whose were they? They were not the victims nor the defendants. Rather, they were of the one Adrian Andrews. What? That is why I said the person who had discovered the body had left it there. And we are done here, right? We are done here, Mr. Wright. Grr, I can't believe I fell into another trap. Mr. Andrews was probably holding the glass when she went to see Mr. Corrida. Upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set the glass down on the dresser. But she doesn't drink tomato juice. What you just said makes a lot of sense. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Now, do you see, Wright? You can't change any part of my scenario, as it explains everything all too well. Grr. I've thought long and hard this past year about what it means to be a prosecutor, and from here on out, I will show you the answer I have come to discover. Wait a second, Mr. Edgeworth. think the prosecution has provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict. Unfortunately, I cannot allow you to pass judgment yet. The prosecution has yet another witness we would like the court to hear from. Another witness? Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness. Oh great, it's gonna be Lada, isn't it? Or, no, it's gonna be the other lady. The old lady. What in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking? It's gonna be one of them. Yeah, it's the old lady. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. Witness, your name and occupation, please. Rat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat. Gotcha. Grr. I wonder what happened to that calm composure he had earlier. Oh, edgy boy, it's been what, a year since we last met, hasn't it? You should be more happy to see me. I saw the report with her testimony, but who knew that under that helmet it was the Wicked Witch of the witness stand? I tell you, this time I know what I'm supposed to do. So today, I'm going to tell you anything and everything. Even things that don't have to do with that terrible crime. Miss Witness, what that terrible crime is all this court needs to know. Oof. Shush! I'm talking to my dear Edgy Wedgie right now. Don't interrupt us, Gramps. Yes, madam. No, please, by all means, interrupt her, please. Anyway, witness, your testimony, please. It's true what they say, that youth are hot-headed nowadays. Not that I mind at all, Edgy. Now then, what should I start with? The witness was on security detail at the hotel on the night of the murder. Is this correct, Miss Oldbag? It was a great job being able to see my dearie Juan. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle. You mean you were a fan of the victim? Look, everyone is crazy over that on guard, saying he's cute in a fresh way or something. But not me, I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I have no interest in a little child like him. I'm only interested in a real man, Juan Corda. But those two were the same age. Anyway, as I was saying, I was pacing in front of his room that night. Very well, please tell the court what you witnessed the night of the murder. Leave it to me, Edgy Poo. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room. It was something I was interested in finding out, you know. Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room. It was on guard, Matt on guard. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room. So Mr. On Guard came out from the victim's room. See, it has to be him. He's the murderer. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Miss Oldbag, what was your post on that night? The lobby. I was supposed to help set up the stage for that trifling show. but I refused to help. I'll have you know, it was for that lead-headed samurai show. Heh, I even took out a few of the nails. Maybe it was a good thing the show didn't go on. Besides, that manager with the glasses seemed to be working hard at it without me. So I thought I'd take a break and spread my wings a little. And that's when you went to hang around the victim's door? Something you were interested in? And just what was that? It's not some little thing I can just go around telling everyone, you know? It's top secret between me and Juan. And Edgy-Poo, of course. Mr. Edgeworth, what is this thing she was interested in? I have no idea. I despise gossip, Your Honor. Gossip? But should it prove relevant, we can always have it appended to her testimony later. Looks like we shouldn't force it right now. And did the witness stay in the vicinity of the victim's door the entire time? Oh, then you would tell us the number of people who went in and out of Mr. Corda's room. I have no idea. I wasn't born, so I couldn't count things for those who didn't pay attention in class. That's why, ever since I turned 20, I quit keeping track of how old I really am. Yes, well, that would explain why your age was not included in the report. In any case, the witness then saw someone, correct? That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room. Who in the world was that? I'm not allowed to say. This sort of information has to be carefully guarded from the masses, Sonny. That man that came out of Juan's room, it was... He was... Yes, he was? I'm too scared I can't say his name out loud. Oh, what I wouldn't give to have Francisca's whip right about now. Well, I guess I can tell you, since he was such a bad boy anyway. You saw my client? Are you sure about that? Yes, see. Really? Annoying brat. When I say I saw someone, I saw that person. Why do I get the sense of deja vu? Maybe to avoid a repeat of last year, I should delve into this a bit further. The person's clothes. Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail. What a troublesome man you are, really, as if something like that matters. But it does. Now, what was it? Oh, yes, it was that thing. What thing? That gaudy thing he's always wearing, that racing jacket. Ah, he was wearing that at the detention center, too. And that thing's meant for nothing but seducing women out of their pantaloons. Men. Right. So, Mr. Wright, was this testimony just now important or relevant in any way? Nah, it didn't seem very important. I guess it really wasn't that important after all. Mr. Wright, do you know why say time is valuable? If not, I suggest you learn. You've wasted 3 minutes of this woman's youth. That's more valuable than gold to me. Why do I suddenly feel old in the presence of her childish whining? She may not remember things or be mistaken here and there, but I don't think she's lying. It's bad for us, really bad. But that's how the human mind is. It also has the tendency to jump off topic. She strayed onto a few interesting side topics this time too, hasn't she? But that's what makes her a sweet old lady, right? That's because you're not the one who has to question her. What was the man you saw carrying? In which hand? His right hand or his left? Now this is a real mess. I mean, I can't be expected to answer such a vague question. Indeed. Please be more specific with your question, Mr. Wright. Sorry. What was the man you saw carrying in his right hand? He wasn't carrying anything in that hand. Then how about his left? Empty. Well, this whole time it's been a lot of nothing. So, Mr. Mr. Wright, was this testimony important or relevant in any way? Oh, I know what it was. So we're gonna load. It was this one. It was this one. Because he would have been wearing his hakama, not his gaudy thing. Of course, it was important, Your Honor. Then perhaps you would like to point out what part of that testimony was important. Don't you see it, Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request that what the witness said about the jacket be appended to her testimony. I don't quite see where you're going with this, but alright, witness, please. Well, I don't like to be badmouth anyone without reason, but if I must... Miss Oldbag. What? Don't say my name for no reason. Do you know what this is? Ah, it's a button number 2 on the German ninja's costume. She's numbered the buttons now. Now I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it in a single glance. Give it here, give it here. If you don't give it to me, I'll punish you with this. Rat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat. Wow, she really is a die-hard fan to want a button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Mr. Ungarn's body during the full body search. See? Spun proves beyond a shadow of a doubt it was that rascal on guard. It was caught up in the same pleats of his nickel samurai hakama pants. See? And on guard is the nickel samurai. Witness. Now, it may just be me, and I do have an active imagination, but just now, didn't you say that the defendant, Matt on guard, was wearing his usual racing jacket? Ah, I'm so sorry. Sorry that you judge people based on what they wear. I wore the trendy... Great. This again. Now hold your tongue still there for 1 second. So what you saw in actuality was not Mr. On Guard the man, but Mr. On Guard the nickel samurai? But when you think about it, they're really one and the same anyway. Miss Oldbag, this is a very important point we're talking about. Edgy Poo, do you think so too? Well, it might be something worth considering. Just say it's important and agree with me for a change. Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you testify. Alright, if you insist. I should be the one sighing, not you. On guard. Yes, now I remember. The nickel samurai, that's right. It was the nickel samurai that I saw. Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. He had to go to that post-ceremony stage show right after the crime, you know? Must have worn that nickel samurai costume when he was stabbing poor Juan. I knew it. I knew you'd say he was inside that costume. What? Did you think there could have been someone else inside that costume? Don't be a bad little boy thinking such rude things. But the possibility does exist. Ah, youngins today, I told you there is no way it was anyone else. How do you know that? Because I said so. And what I say is the truth. At least she's just as delightful a witness as she was a year ago. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Man, this trial's going fast. Why do you say that? And why would that be? That way no one could see his face, of course, but there's still no advantage for him that I can see. In fact, you would think the costume would make him stand out all the more. You are such an annoying child, you know that? You disagree with everything I say. Isn't that what you're always doing to me? I got it. Maybe it was more troublesome for him to change in and out of his costume. Was there anyone else scheduled to appear at the post-ceremony show? Well, all the contestants were supposed to go on stage in a friendly gestures thing. And that included the Jammin' Ninja? Of course it included him. That's why, when On Guard came out of dear Juan's room, I didn't give it a second thought. I see. Well, anyway. So let me ask you one last time. The person you saw, it really was the Nickel Samurai. As showy as ever. Haven't I been saying that from the very beginning? Can I throw in the towel yet? You don't need to think too hard on this one. Thanks, Mia. Huh? There's a contradiction in her testimony, and it's sitting in plain sight. Question is, what that contradiction means for us. I'll have to figure out what you're talking about first, but okay. Do I show her this photo? That doesn't seem that important, though. There could be a lot of things wrong with her testimony. I guess I'll go with the most obvious. Nope, that's not it. Can't say he didn't know anything about it. Okay. I mean, just look at his costume, though. It doesn't look convenient at all. No, none of these are working. What is the contradiction? Be a little more careful with your testimony, please. Not too long ago you said he was wearing his racing jacket, and now he's not? Not too long ago? Then let me ask you this. When were you itty-bitty, and what was your grand dream? Huh? What did you want to be when you grew up, whippersnapper? My dream, huh? Well, I wanted to be a Judge Wagner hero of the public's court. So what? See? And look where you are now. You're not a Judge Wagner, are you? Are you? Well, what I said earlier. Who puts any weight into things like that? And The now is everything. I can't be held responsible for the past. Since when did the court become theatrics over testimonies? All that matters is that man was inside that costume. Isn't that enough? How would it be convenient? Well, I mean, this is suspicious because he's wearing a costume. How did his fingerprints get on the knife? That could be explained away, kinda. Let's present the knife. Alright, that was it. Please take a look at this. Yeah, so it's a knife. Big deal. If you're trying to scare me with that, I'll have you know it won't work. No, that's not my intention at all. That's the knife that was used in the murder, correct? Your Honor, do you know why this piece of evidence is important to this case? You don't even have to ask. It's because the defendant's fingerprints are on it. Is that what you're driving at? That is exactly what I'm driving at. What are we driving at? And whose car are we driving? If Mr. Ungard was really in the Nickel Samurai costume at the time of the murder, then it's impossible for his fingerprints to have been left on this knife. Actually, he would have wiped all previous fingerprints on the knife right off. Oh, that's right, the Nickel Samurai wears gloves, doesn't he? He probably took his gloves off before he began the stabbing. And why would he do something like that? To leave his prints on the murder weapon? There is no way he would do something like that. However, there is one possibility. Then let's hear your possibility. It's very simple. The defendant went to the victim's room while in costume as the Nickel Samurai. At that time, the defendant held no intent to murder. He was probably just going to relax and talk with the victim about the stage show. Which is why he took his gloves off. But it's premeditated murder. But the murder still did take place. It's well known that there was bad blood between the defendant and the victim. Yes, I have heard that before. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say about Mr. Edgeworth's theory? It's full of holes. So let me get this straight. Edgeworth's theory goes like this. When the defendant went to the victim's room, he had no intention of killing him. Now, up to this point, are there any problems with his theory? This theory contradicts something in an earlier testimony. What are you babbling about? Now, for argument's sake, let's suppose Mr. On Guard was the killer. If that's the case... I think it's impossible for the killer to have gone to the victim's room without intent. This knife, this was used by Mr. On Guard at dinner. Yes, we did establish that, which means that if my client was in fact the killer, then he brought this knife with him when he went to visit Mr. Korda. I suppose. However, you just said it yourself. At that time, the defendant held no intent to murder. If that were true, then why would he bring a knife? He wouldn't, would he? Which means, Mr. Edgeworth, your theory was flawed from supposition 1. And one more thing. The murderer was wearing the costume at the time of the murder, then there should be glove marks left on the knife. Which means the defendant's fingerprint shouldn't be all over like bees on a hive. And that brings me to my final point. This knife was planted by the real killer to hide their identity and mislead us. Order! Order! I say, order in the court. Was this knife really planted by the killer? Why would the murderer do such a thing? Well, it's obvious. To frame that On Guard. It's to frame my client, Mr. On Guard, of course. To frame? Aren't you forcing the interpretation just a little too hard on this one? But we just established that the witness saw the nickel samurai in costume. And if that were true, then there shouldn't be a single fingerprint on this knife. Grr. Witness! Looks like I've made your life a tiny bit more difficult, huh, Edgy? Grr. Witness, did you, or did you not, really see the nickel samurai? Well, I guess at first I might have forgotten, but... Are you saying you mixed up Mr. On Guard with the nickel samurai's character on TV? But I mean, I can't really do anything about that now. Look, I was waiting around in front of their doors because, well, I wasn't waiting around for the nickel samurai, that's for sure. She wasn't waiting for the nickel samurai. Alright, then who were you waiting around for then? That's top secret to anyone outside of security. I have a feeling that you were waiting for Mr. Juan Corda, am I correct, witness? Ha ha ha. The way you think, you are a sad amateur with a terrible case of nearsightedness. Amateur? Me? What am I an amateur of? So Old Bag was waiting around in front of the victim's room. But it doesn't sound like she was waiting to catch a glimpse of Mr. Corda. Maybe, Phoenix, maybe the Old Bag was waiting around for that person. It's who I think Mia's hinting at. If it's who I think Mia's hinting at, it's certainly possible. Miss Old Bag, you were waiting for this person to come out of the victim's room, weren't you? Who is this person? This is Adrian Andrews, Mr. On Guard's manager. But why would the defendant's manager be in the victim's room? It seems that this is the latest rumor in circulation, Your Honor. Oh, this is... I see. The judge seems to be really into the article. if it can be called such a thing. Then this manager with the initials AA, are you saying it's Adrian Andrews? Without a doubt, the witness thought so as well. Looks like you found me out. Well, that's fine. I can throw away this whole sworn to confidentially stuff, then. Witness? What in the world are you? Watch out, Phoenix. I've got a bad feeling about this. A very bad feeling. We've got some information. Some very secret information from a certain source. So that's why I was doing my little own little investigation. In secret, of course. But what for? Oh, just for myself, personal reasons and all that. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, how will you proceed from here? I really don't want to do this, however I cannot simply let this point slide. I see. Very well then, witness, please testify about this secret information. Get ready. This is going to take the wind out of you youngins. I'm sure we're all capable of handling this, really. It's not like we're 10 years old. That on guard is one evil, evil man. He thought he could ruin poor Juan by causing a huge scandal. So to do that, he sent his own manager to get in close with Juan. I cannot condone such dirty tricks, so I took action. Oh, and this is top secret. You got that? Nobody else but you and me know yet, okay? The defendant sent his manager? What a disastrous-full topic for this court. What? Nobody's above gossip. And isn't there a saying, the truth is never pleasant? Never heard that one before. Mr. Edgeworth, what about this Adrian Andrews person? We have looked into this matter. Found that the truth the article possesses is, in fact, baseless gossip. But should this be true, then this proves that the defendant did bear ill will towards the victim. So this means I have to smash this rumor once and for all. Now then, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Be careful, the old bag seems rather excited right now. That's right, on guard is nothing but your average foul-blooded youth. Well, as the old saying goes, you've gotta burn old bags with fire. Time to fire up the afterburners and hit the highway to the danger zone. Okay, Phoenix. Don't think we're gonna get anything out of it. He's an evil, evil man. A scandal? What do you mean by that? You're a dim-witted one, aren't you? I can't believe you don't know what a scandal is. Honestly, what are they teaching kids in middle school these days? No, I was asking what the word scandal I wasn't asking what the word scandal means. Even I know that much. Well, that on guard thought he could own a monopoly on popularity. You don't have any proof that Mr. On Guard did such a thing. You must be suffering from shock. The shock of hearing the truth. And now, since you're in so much shock, you can't do anything right. You're right, I can't do anything. But boy, do I wish I could do something about you. Alright then, Sonny, show me what you've got. Can you show me proof that On Guard didn't bear any ill will towards Swan? Did he not bear any ill will towards Swan? I don't think I have any kind of proof like that. This feels like a trap. I don't have anything to offer. See, just as I thought. And you were lecturing me about saying things without proof. You've just given me a free pass to say whatever and I want, whenever I want, silly boy. Me and my big mouth. That's the way the cookie crumbles for you, anyway. So, what do you mean by I took action? Like I already told you, I was lying in wait close to the crime scene. Once that slimy woman came out of Juan's room, I was going to capture her and teach her a good lesson, something you youngins need. You were going to teach her a good lesson. I was going to make her eat the damaging beams of my ray gun. Like this. No, stop! Well, it was too bad that the woman didn't come through the door that night. Where'd you get this information from? Wait. What? I'm a busy woman. Tea time with the kids is over. Secret information that no one else knows yet. If that's true, then how do you know this secret information? Huh? Well, that's because I'm a pro. Yes, that's it. It's a secret. Even if you drilled a hole into my brain, you'd never find out. How in the world did that old bag get such a secret piece of information? I think I know. So no one else is supposed to know this secret information, correct? If that's true, then why do you know it, Miss Old Bag? Why are you looking at me like that? Stop that! Witness. Hate to say it, but this is how you came to acquire your secret info, isn't it? So it's... It's not the article, it's, either the Lotta's camera or Lotta herself. 100% Lotta. You call that proof? Looks more like proof of spite towards the witness. You have nothing to back up your claims, and it'll... Damn it. Let's try Lotta's camera. There we go. We're basically presenting Lotta anyway. The investigative photographer Lotta Hart. Oh yes, I remember that mischievous girl. She reported that she had lost a certain note she had written her to herself. Oh yeah, the note. She reported such a thing? On that piece of paper she had written down some of her outrageous impressions about the relationship between the victim and Miss Andrews. What? Outrageous ideas, you say? No, 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 I said impressions. Then everything written on this piece of paper is completely meaningless? Ah, that's it. That's the note. Ah. Ah! No, you see, this is something completely different. This is my top secret list of groceries to buy. Then you are the one who took Miss Hart's note? I'm a huge fan of Juan's, that's why. That infamous puffy-haired whippersnapper? He's working with that evil on guard. She's working with that evil on guard. She said so herself. On guard. I'm his sidekick. She was so happy, smiling like a silly duck. I was only tricking what she had written. Edgy Pooh, you believe me, don't you? Ugh. I was only trying to help out like the angel I am. It's only one little piece of paper. I've never taken anything else before. You really should come with a supply of cheese to match your vintage wine. Well, it was only a piece of paper, so I suppose we can overlook this just this once. She looks like she's really sorry. Should I forgive her? Hi, Viper. This trial has gone really fast so far. Oh, let's pile on more pressure. If I let up on her now, she'll get away. I have to find some way to inflict a deafening blow to the prosecution. Witness, you said that the only thing you stole was that note. Is this correct? Stole? Why don't you listen more carefully, you annoying brat? I saved this piece of paper from the terrible, lonely trash can. That's all. You're lying, damn it. I can prove it. You putting my credibility under scrutiny again? Miss Oldbag. I don't believe that the note is the only thing you stole that night. I believe you also stole her camera. Miss Oldbag, that note was with a camera inside its case, wasn't it? A camera? Yesterday, Lotta Hart was raising a huge stink over her camera. She kept saying something like, "My sweetie, $1,600 camera disappeared on me." Why, witness! What is it, Gramps? If you have the note, then it is only logical that you have the camera too. Grr. Looks like you found me out again, Sonny. Is this the camera you're looking for? Ah, that's... What? Even though I look like this, I'm still a person, you know. I still eat meals like you, I fall in love, and borrow things from people. Yeah, borrow. I think your definition of borrow is a little off. I saw that woman's business card, and that's when I noticed it said, "Slime Bag Celebrity Photographer Extraordinaire." Well, when I saw that, I had to know what sort of pictures she had taken. I'm a professional security guard. It's my business to know these things. Bailiff, check this camera's photos. Hurry! You must examine them all at once. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, what do we have? There is only one photo that seems to be relevant to this case. Please present it to the court. It's the classic case of being too short for the costume. This is the Nickel Samurai. See, I told you, that's the guy I saw. This proves that the witness was not lying earlier about this matter. What does this all mean, Mr. Edgeworth? This photo by itself does not prove that the person in it is the defendant. However, in his own confession, Mr. Ungard clearly stated that at the time of the murder, he was still in his Nickel Samurai costume. If that is the case, then this Nickel Samurai is the defendant. How did it come to this? I think this brings us to the end. We have examined every piece of evidence thoroughly. Final comments, Mr. Wright? The court will consider them before we close. My final comment is check the image again. You agree that this photo is decisive evidence against your client. If this photo really is decisive, then we're done for. If I raise an objection here and blow it, then I put Maya's life in jeopardy. Can't make a mistake here. There is only one road out of this mess. This photo that Lotta took. There's something strange with it. There's something strange with this photo. I knew this was coming, right? Your thoughts, Mr. Edgeworth? I think we can all agree there is nothing strange with this photo. There's no way for the defense to debunk this photo, even with a bunker buster. Debunk with a bunker buster? Is that what you were planning to do, Mr. Wright? Anyway, please look at the photo one more time. If you really believe you can honestly find something wrong with this photo, then you should only need one chance, correct? Well, I have to find something wrong with this photo. Can't let this chance go by. Where in the heck did she take this photo from anyway? It's all out of focus. Why can't she take a good shot, especially when it counts? Now then, let's hear your objection. I would like to direct the court's attention to this one area here. What are you pointing to? His ankles? If you could see this person's ankles, that would be one thing. However, you can't. And? What does that mean? This costumed person in this photo could not have been Mr. Ungard. What is the meaning of this? I wonder if you would care to elaborate with actual facts, that is. Let's take a look at the Nickel Samurai's poster. Please pay particular attention to the area around the bottom of the hakama. His socks, you can see his socks. Exactly. However, in this photo, the Nickel Samurai is clearly holding his hakama up just to walk. There is only one explanation for this. The person inside this costume is clearly much shorter than the defendant. Alright, I think I've turned things around for myself this time. That's curious. Huh? What is? Edgeworth is unusually calm today. That's true. He's just letting the trial run itself. as if he's only along for the ride. Along for the ride? What do you mean by that? I can only guess that perhaps he doesn't feel under attack at all. He doesn't feel under attack? Then I haven't damaged his case at all? Mr. Edgeworth, where does this leave us? If the person in this photo is not Matt on guard, then everything the prosecution has tried to prove has become meaningless. I feared it would come to this. What? Right, I have something I want to ask you. I think you have proven that the person inside this costume is not Matt on guard. In that case, who is this? Who is this a photo of? Who is the person wearing the Nickel Samurai costume? Don't stress out over this, Phoenix. It's very simple. What you should be focused on is Edgeworth's attitude, don't you think? Yeah. Why is he so calm? Mr. Wright, let's hear your thoughts. It's Adrian Andrews, of course. Adrian Andrews? If you want to know who that Nickel Samurai is, it is none other than this woman. And why would you say it must be Miss Andrews, and what in the world points you to her? For starters, she's short, and she can freely move in and out of Mr. Unguard's room. Finally, she had dinner with Mr. Ungard that night. How does that all add up? It means that it makes it very easy for her to get a certain item. A certain knife with Mr. Unguard's fingerprints all over it. The knife that was used as a murder weapon. Why don't you just say what it is you want, Wright? I have to do this now. It is my last chance to turn things around. The defense moves to indict Miss Adrian Andrews in the murder of Juan Corda. It was Miss Andrews who tried to frame the defendant for the crime. Order, order, order! Looks like this trial has hit a most unexpected development. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor? This court is issuing a subpoena for Miss Adrian Andrews. A verdict cannot be passed without her first hearing her testimony. And Edgeworth is just like, alright, she's here. Already? I already called her. Alright, this is it. This is kinda bad for us. Huh? What do you mean? Adrian Andrews is summoned to court as a witness. It means that the trial will go on for another day. One more day? If I don't get a verdict today, then Maya... Now then, we shall sit Miss Andrews' testimony for tomorrow. What am I supposed to do? The judge is about to adjourn the court. Now then. Please, Your Honor, continue the trial. You must pass a verdict today. I can't do that. Cannot hear Miss Andrews' testimony. Hold it. I abhor wasting such valuable time. Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request that you please continue with today's trial. What the hell, Edgeworth? But we cannot continue due to this unexpected development. Tisk tisk. Unexpected development? I think you underestimate me, Your Honor. And what do you mean by that? that Mr. Phoenix Wright would slave his way to subpoenaing Miss Adrian Andrews is all. Happening according to plan, even if Wright was a bit slow to catch on. What? What is the meaning of your statement, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Adrian Andrews is currently waiting in the prosecution's lobby. She is the next witness. Everything was planned out in advance by that man? Somehow I knew there was no way Edgeworth would overlook Miss Andrews. Looks like this battle is far from over. Exactly. Very well. We will call the next witness. However, before we proceed, we shall take a 10-minute recess. Please prepare your witness in that time, Mr. Edgeworth. The court will now take a 10-minute recess. Man, that was a pretty intense trial, and it's still going on. This has to be the longest trial ever. Dude, I can't believe that Adrian, no way, not cool and collected Adrian Andrews. She's your manager, it would have been very easy for her to pull this off. The only person who had easy access to the knife you used at dinner was, well, her. So after the ceremony during the break, huh? I was sleeping like a log the entire time. See, she could have also easily planted that blood-covered button in your hakama. Because she was the one that came to wake me up. Then dude, you're saying it really was her? Yes, she is the real killer. She was the one who murdered Juan Corda. But why? I thought she was buds with Juan. She has her own agenda. Her own agenda? What are you talking about? I'm sure you'll see by the time this trial's over. It'll be alright. I'll get you acquitted by the end of today. Give me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze, okay, Mr. Lawyer Dude? Phoenix. You think her motive is related to Celeste Impax's missing suicide note, right? Yes. Miss Andrews depended on Miss Impax as her strength and reason to live. But then Miss Impax suddenly killed herself. It sounds like she left a suicide note and the person thought to have hidden it. Is Juan Corda the victim of this murder? And that's why I think Miss Andrews got close to Mr. Corda. All to get the suicide note back. That sounds plausible. But one thing bothers me. What? Who is that first told us about their relationship? Who was it that first told us about their relationship? That just stated Miss Andrews' dependency issues with regards to Miss Impax. It was Edgeworth. It was Edgeworth. Looks like he's still the one in command of this ship. Don't let your guard down yet. I'm gonna go get some water. Alright, I'm back. Court will now reconvene. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you please. The prosecution calls the witness subpoenaed by this court. Miss Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Mr. Juan Corda's room. What is your occupation? I am the manager of the defendant in this case, Mr. Matt Ungard. I see, now then. Before we begin, Your Honor, I have one request. Yes, sure, what is it? I'm sure everyone in this room is wondering the same thing, and would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently. Ah, no, I have no idea what you mean. I've never even heard of Gossip Land. You just said the name of it. If the judge was ever a prosecution witness, he'd do all my work for me. Anyway, I was wondering if you could please tell us about your relation to the victim. Yes, I was seeing Mr. Corda. I was also aware of the rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan. But this was a private matter between Juan and myself. So it was a fry and bait matter, or was that bait and fry? Reminds me of fishing. But I didn't kill him. No one is accusing you of that. I think there is someone who would beg to differ. I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Miss Andrews. Very well then, witness, please testify to the court about what happened when you discovered the murder that had taken place. It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room, and there was his dead body. I was in shock. What I saw was naturally the exact same scene as the crime scene photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. What? You poured yourself a glass of juice? Yes, sadly I didn't remember not to touch things at the crime scene. And I disturbed the crime scene by moving this one thing. And that is when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honor. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Phoenix. She's one cool and collected customer, and she has the brains to match. Yes, I know. In order to catch a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontations. You should disrupt her pacing. Disrupt her pacing? She's the type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking. So, you have to attack when she least expects it. The instant you let up on your offense is the instant this trial is over. Understand? And what was Mr. Ungard doing at the time? He was taking a nap. He was worn out from his mini-performance as the Nickel Samurai during the ceremony. Mr. Ungard did say he was taking a nap. And I guess you could say it could not have been taken out of his room, yes? Excuse me? What are you... Right. I thought years of school would have taught you how to construct a sentence. If you can't make a sensible sentence with a subject, then I'll make it one for you. Watch. Did you, Miss Andrews, remove Mr. Ungard's knife from his room? No. Subject, verb, object, right? Did you skip basic grammar? The witness may continue. And why did you do that? As a friendly gesture, Juan was to make an appearance with the other heroes. So the show is supposed to be a show of friendship, huh? Is that the only reason? I beg your pardon? What are you implying? You had a certain goal in mind when you started to get close to him, correct? So perhaps you had a more personal matter to discuss with the victim. Sorry, but I didn't have any such intentions in mind at the time. I can't get her to talk without a strong piece of evidence, I guess. May we continue now? Witness, what did you see when you got to his room? You were in shock? What? Was I not supposed to be? Miss Andrews is a very calculating person, and despite how close they were, I doubt she had romantic feelings for Mr. Corda. Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock. And you can't seriously expect that a young beauty like her would not be in shock. Somehow, I don't think beauty has anything to do with being shocked or not. I see. This is the photo you're referring to, correct? Yes, the one with the knife lodged in his chest. And the guitar case was like this too? Yes, it was open and empty, of course. And then, what did you do next, witness? This is where it's gonna be weird. Juice? Yes, there was a bottle of tomato juice on the table, so I helped myself. But you didn't drink any of it, did you? Huh? There was no lip marks left on this wine glass to suggest that anyone drank from it. I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down without drinking it. Miss Andrews, I would like to confirm with you one more time. When you discovered the dead body of Juan Corda, you were in great shock. That's when you poured yourself the glass of juice, correct? And what of it? My mind really was a complete blank at the time. Mine was a complete blank? I didn't think that was possible for you. Aren't you rude today? I was so dazed that I made one careless mistake. That one thing. What one thing? Never mind, it's no big deal. What was she starting to say just now? Miss Andrews, I'm convinced that, as you said, you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was. Actually, so would I. I'm sorry, it's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass down on the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over. flower vase, whatever you wanna... How do you pronounce that normally? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crime photo? They showed the same image. This mess of glass shards. It was originally on top of the dresser, but when I bumped into it with my elbow, it fell onto the guitar case. That's a really big contradiction you just said there. Holy cow. Why did you withhold such an important piece of information? I'm sorry, I thought that since the crime scene was already in disarray, that people wouldn't simply assume the vase was just another part of the mess. It looks like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this and anything else you have to reveal to your testimony. I'm sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. Oh, contradiction time. You testified that you knocked the flower vase over. Is this correct? Yes. And are you sure it fell onto the guitar case? Is there some problem with what I said? It's not some problem, it's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case was wet with water. However, that's exactly what is so strange. Miss Andrews, you testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case. However, if that were true, the case should have gotten wet on the inside, not the outside. That's very true. Furthermore, there is one other strange thing about this guitar case. And what is that? Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor. And what is wrong with that? If the guitar case was open when the vase fell, the glass shard should be inside, not outside the case. Ah! What is your point, Wright? That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over? Is that all? No, think back to what Miss Andrews testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else. No. Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say she didn't touch the guitar case. But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. It has no bearing on this case at all. That may very well be. However, the empty guitar case does seem to have no relation to this case, doesn't it? It seems that there is no deeper meaning to the guitar case. Well, Mr. Wright, do you think we need to hear more details about the guitar case? The empty guitar case. I believe this is a crucial piece of the puzzle. Heh, I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like this, but it is you. can't believe I'm doing this either. Alright, I'll follow along for now. Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case. Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. Hold on. It bears Corda's fingerprints. It doesn't bear hers. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know. That's because you didn't open the case. Stop lying. It looks like this really wasn't a very important point. This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now that it's almost comforting. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination. Using any way to change the topic. A convenient escape for a weak man. There is no way you were the one who opened the guitar case. Why would you say that? It's elementary, my dear... Here. Watson. Because the only fingerprints on this guitar case are those of the victim. What is it, Miss Andrews? You shouldn't assume that I must have left prints just because I touched the case. What do you mean? What if I were to tell you I was wearing gloves at the time? Gloves? But you're not wearing gloves because you had fingerprints on the glass. Gloves? But why would you be wearing gloves at the time? It was the night of the award ceremony, so of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes. Now I remember. I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems the witness was wearing gloves at the scene of the crime. That's strange. You were wearing gloves, isn't that a little strange? Why is that strange? Do you have something that would prove I was not wearing gloves at the time? I have your proof right here, this wine glass. The wine glass? You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, wouldn't you think it was just a little strange that you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? What was that noise? Order, order, order! Looks like you hit the nail on the head this time. What do you mean? I believe that guitar case plays a very important role here. But it's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty, though. But the guitar, the bright red guitar, was at the studio. Phoenix, drop all your presumptions. Yeah, the note was inside there. The suicide note. What was in the guitar case was not the bright red guitar. You don't mean it was a bright white guitar? Wait, that's not right either. I admit, it would be unnatural for someone to do that. So, the witness was not wearing gloves despite the fact that on the case Your Honor, this is obviously the defense's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us into his misguided... No, Your Honor. Please recall that Miss Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it was wide open in this photo of the crime scene. I am sure this guitar case had some relation to the murder. If you are so sure, Wright, then I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please enlighten us as to why that guitar case has anything at all to do with this murder. Can you do that, Mr. Wright? Well... Let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case. Bright red guitar not being the only thing? You don't mean to suggest the black guitar. So, you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty. Is that it, right? I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove. Deflate that head of yours, you haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside this case at the time of the murder? And why would something like that be inside a guitar case, let alone this one? Why, Mr. Wright, why? Well, I just thought it might have been possible. I have a suggestion. Why don't you put that in the void where your brain is supposed to be? Right, so it wasn't that. Yes, and never bring it out again. Can't a foolishly foolish fool get some love? Do you still think you can prove your theory? Can you prove that the guitar case was not empty at the time of the murder? I wouldn't say that. What was in the case at the time of the murder? My badge? No. Maya's Magatama? No. The Nickel Samurai? Definitely not. This ticket? No. This radio transceiver? No. This camera? No. This article? No. This map? No. Another guitar case? No. This wine glass? No. What would be inside the case? I have no idea. None of these items seem to fit. Celeste Impact was inside the case. Yeah, let's say that. What? No. It was not that. So let's load this. What in the world is inside the case? Picture taken in the hallway right after the murder. This? Yeah, this one's hard. I have no idea. I have no idea. I'm gonna have to look this up. Since literally nothing makes sense here. What is this? I need to get out of here. I don't know. What could be in there? So it's episode 4, Touhou. Episode 4, Touhou, Phoenix, Wright, 2. When I found the body, the guitar case. She thinks something other than a guitar was in the case. Present either the nickel samurai or Lotta's photo. Why would the Nickel Samurai or Lotta's photo be in the case? This is a photograph. Yes, but what is important is what is in that picture, Your Honor. In this picture? Doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is... inside the guitar case was the Nickel Samurai, the hero's very own costume. Why are we proposing this, Phoenix? What? I'm with Edrith. What? Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Right, are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be to doing something like that? That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews? I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct? You mean this photo? Order, order! It looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we? Nice job, Phoenix. Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later. I don't know how good that strategy is. So the real murderer was hiding inside a costume. Wait. A second, Your Honor. The Nickel Samurai's costume would have been Mr. Matt Unguard's. Why would something of the defendant's be in the victim's room? And inside the guitar case of all places. True. That is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was this Nickel Samurai costume doing inside the guitar case? It was borrowed from Ungard. I think it may have been stolen from Mr. Ungard. Stolen? But why would someone do such a thing? Maybe the thief wanted to interfere with the post-ceremony show. And so, if he didn't have his costume, then Mr. Ungard would be forced to go naked. Maybe you should be stripped naked and run out for making a mockery of this court. Excuse me? Mr. Managard did not take his costume off after the awards ceremony. He even testified that he took a nap while still wearing his costume. Is this not correct? Dang it. It was a spare costume. Mr. Ungard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we are talking about was a spare one. What? Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel? Yes, that is what I'm saying. And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case? It would mean that the victim himself had brought this spare to the ceremony on purpose. But why? The victim, Mr. Korda, was the Jammin' Ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nickel Samurai's spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act? And therein lies the sticking point. What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? Huh? No, Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai's spare costume? Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer, and then answer with gusto. I believe in you. Alright, this is what I think. The reason the victim brought the Nickel Samurai's spare costume to the hotel was... for the post-ceremony stage show. Right? What is this? On the night of the murder, after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference. A press conference? Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. For once, you're not making something up, right? But what struck me as strange was that Mr. Ungard himself said he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night. But how can that be? The way I see it, that can only mean one thing. The conference was a setup. By none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Corda himself. The victim? Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Corda was going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai. He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference? But why would the victim do such a thing? That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at the conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Corda, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt Ungard. Yes, I guess that is what it would mean. But if that's the case, that's not a confession, that's public disclosure. Miss Andrews? I can see why you are pros at what you do. Pardon me? Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan. Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this. I was the one he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was me also. You? Juan had bet everything on the Jammin' Ninja this year. And if he'd lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought anyway. It's going to ruin him, huh? It looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career. It had it been revealed. What? And do you know what the secret of Mr. Ungard's is, Miss Andrews? That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is. I see. I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone. But that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt, after all. Protect Mr. Ungard? And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could please tell us the truth about your behavior. Yes, Your Honor, I understand. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him. This does account for everything. Well, I am the logical type. We're finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit. If the defense can find no fault with this testimony, I am ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine, Mr. Wright. Looks like somehow everything has swung it to the opposite end of the scale again. That just means I have to put my weight onto this and turn her logic upside down. Would you say that was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. Irk. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things. 3 things? A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. And if you think these 3 things through, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known that, Phoenix. They didn't teach that to us in school, at least not from what I remember. May I continue now? So would you say this need came from the press conference? Yes. Do you know why Juan chose that event and that hotel for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt Ungard. And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews? Yeah, then why wouldn't you stop him? If you were trying to defend him. Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume. What? You're like contradicting yourself in the same part of the testimony. But I'm sure Mr. Ungard himself didn't know anything about the press conference. Oh, really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference? Anyway, the important thing here is that this information was not in your testimony. Yes, I agree, Miss Andrews. Please correct your testimony, if you please. Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright? Has Mr. Ungard done something to hurt or betray you personally? Why do you ask? You are the one who helped Mr. Korda with this press conference. And that event was supposed to bring down Mr. Ungard, yet you still helped out. The person on trial right now is Mr. Ungard, right? What the witness was thinking, helping the victim with his plan, is none of our concern. In any case, this means that the defendant had a motive to kill. Why do I keep doing this to myself? But didn't you already testify earlier that Matt on guard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that too was a lie, so you could cover for Mr. Ungard? I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time. I keep trying, but I can find no flaws with what Miss Andrews has said. Can't say the same for some people here in this courtroom, however. The judge is glaring straight at Mia. He's glaring at you, smart guy. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. Fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Then, what about the button? How do you even know about the button? The button? It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and the murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the Jammin' Ninja's costume. Talking about this button, correct? That button was found in the pleats of Matt's hakama. Isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence. How do you even know about that? Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright. Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. Can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes. Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. And how do you know that? When the ends of the threads of the button and the costume were matched up, they were found to fit together perfectly. Or so I heard. From where? I heard that before too. But why would Miss Andrews know about this case down to such a fine detail? Don't look at me like that just because I'm prepared and you're not. Ugh, and I thought I had heard this time for sure. If there's anything to trip her up on, it has to be here, but where and what? Well, this is definitely a contradiction. But what you really did was stab the guy in the back, didn't you? And at the worst possible time. Who's to say she really stabbed the guy in the back, as you put it? This witness could have disclosed things about Mr. Ungard at any time. Why then would she wait until there was a large audience before doing so? It's the same reason why Mr. Korda planned such an elaborate conference. Miss Andrews wanted to cause Mr. Ungard as much damage as she possibly could. This witness bears ill will toward the defendant. This isn't the Phoenix Wright wax philosophical power hour. And please stop slandering the witness. As I expected, Miss Andrews' testimony seems pretty solid. Really? Because to me it sounded a little wishy-washy. Wishy-washy? Well, I guess we'll see if I present a little more. You should know this by now, but you need strong, decisive evidence to make her talk. Got it, Chief. Going to pin you down this time, Miss Andrews. I don't know, do I present the photo? Since it wasn't during, it was after. Dang it. I can present this now. Didn't change the music, so it's probably not that. I don't think I can unprove that. I feel like it's this one. Alright. This is the victim's autopsy report. Clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Strangulation? The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died. And what does that mean? Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off the costume when? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly, which means it is impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. That's right, Miss Andrews. There is no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off of the victim's already dead body. Order, order, order. What is the meaning of this, Wright? So, what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change? I have no idea. So I'm gonna save. Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? When we now know this button was not torn off during the fight, so the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it? Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with this button? What was it? There is only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. Ungard. There is no way anyone would have bloodied the button in their own pants. A bloodied button in their own pants. That's right, Mr. Ungard was set up. By the real killer, of course. And the real murderer is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer then? Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Who is the real killer, though? Phoenix, can't let your guard down yet, not until the very end. Real killer, the person who planned to frame Ungard is... Adrian Andrews, right? Miss Adrian Andrews. I choose you. You are Mr. Corda's killer. What? Did her glasses just break? Order, 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 Mr. Wright. This is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge? Any evidence? I have none, Your Honor. No. All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. How preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. Ungard, naturally. Now I'm starting to sound like Edgeworth. Naturally. A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints would only be taken from his room. The only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Just... Then... What about the button that was found in Matt's Hakama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. Ungard was the real killer, there is no way he would have put such incriminating evidence on his own Hakama. The only person who could have put this button into Mr. Ungard's Hakama is the person who went to wake him from his nap. Which is you, yet again, Miss A. Andrews. I see. What about the empty guitar case? That is also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. That costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was such a costume inside the guitar case? It could only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No, But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case. And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That's right! That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. To avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposely left her fingerprints on the glass to show that yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. And to top it all off, there is this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe this nickel samurai is Mr. Unguard. He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? Please stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? Got her this time. Miss Andrews? I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me. Well, yes. You're absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination by allowing a witness to not testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves. What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. Unguard's room, Adrian Andrews. Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? Alright. That's it. That's when Francisca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews to not testify if things looked bad. Did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there is still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done? Heh heh heh. What's wrong, Wright? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence? What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven. Is circumstantial. Circumstantial? Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Cord. Alright, well, Edgeworth is pushing me to the point where I might have to, reveal some stuff she does not want me to reveal. Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Korda? I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering. But Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think? Maybe so, or maybe not. There is nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. No, she's taking that defiant attitude again. Mia, what should we do? Somehow, we've landed in the worst possible situation. I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. No, we can't end the trial yet. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify, and the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof. But that's not true. In this situation, there is only one thing this court can do, and that is to declare a recess. Recess? I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter. And at tomorrow's trial... let me stop you right there. There's no tomorrow's trial. Tomorrow? We don't have a tomorrow. If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial. Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya... But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you... It's true, Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation were something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that is very true, but... Actually, there is one little thing that I'm curious about. Miss Andrews, when you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes, and I can't help to think how unnatural that is. Usually when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. My actions were unusual, but I've already... Before you speak, I want to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness. I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know. Hey, that rhymed. The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please. That glass of juice. I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. And Tuan, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something. You didn't notice the huge mess? You didn't notice the knife sticking out of his chest? Like, what the... To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over. So you poured that glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you say so in your earlier testimony? I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, then there's nothing left. I know. Edgeworth, what the heck is going on in that brain of yours? Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Oh, so she did notice in a messy state. So it was a mess? Are you sure it wasn't messy because of your fight with Mr. Korda? I understand your frustrations at not being able to prove your theory, however, before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. And then, what did you see next, witness? Slumped over? Yes, he was just sitting there with his head tilted forward, eyes closed. He really looked like he was sleeping. Is it just me, or did that right there sound a little odd? May I show you the knife? Come on. What about this one? The knife. How do you not notice the knife? Dang it. Then, what did cross your mind? I thought maybe he had smashed everything up in anger because he lost the Grand Prix, and then felt tired after his rampage, so he decided to take a nap. Anyways, that's what I thought. I see, so you didn't think he was dead at all. You thought he fainted? I thought he was asleep at first. Then the room was in such a messy state, I thought maybe he had gotten into a fight with someone. And that's when you went to pour the glass of juice? Yes, he always had a hard time waking up. So Juan always has a glass of tomato juice to drink. I see. And after that, what happened next? And how did you come to realize that he was in fact dead? I shook him over and over, but I never got a response. So I set the glass down on the dresser and tried to take his pulse. I was shocked and staggered backward and knocked the flower vase over. Oh, great, my phone died. Didn't expect this to be such a long trial. There we go. Yes. This is what it all comes down to, huh? This is the absolute end for both sides, and Adrian is letting her guard down. Phoenix, now is our best chance to kill the prosecution's case. Isn't that a bit harsh? Miss Andrews, will you tell us the truth this time? I didn't want to save, or I didn't want to press. Alright, so I can look at this. Still doesn't explain the case. And what about the knife? Where's my court record? Tab. Your Honor, that statement contradicts this evidence. It does? Come on. It's so obvious. But it's not working. Maybe I just show her the photo. There we go. Who was that? So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him, with the knife in his chest? No, not at all. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body? Ah! What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There is a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Corrida's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that here was a dead man. That's, well, you see... I doubt a single person in the world would make a mistake for someone who fainted. And then, so nonchalantly go pour something to drink. Your point is, Miss Andrews, your testimony just now, it was all one giant lie. And your lie has proven one thing very clearly, that you are the real killer. No! Looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt on Guard, is not guilty after all. But that's impossible. You're wrong. Miss Andrews, try to have some composure. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt, I swear it. He's the one who killed Juan. But you were the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because... Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you? I refuse to testify. Then there is no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Matt on Guard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated. Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Matt on Guard. Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time. What? What the judge said. The reason is quite simple. The witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth. Alright, I got my stream back up now. Now I can read chat. The absolute real truth? What are you... Witness, don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head, but as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matt on Guard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. That's a lie. I don't believe you. What? I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over, and Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Francisca von Karma. Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of another, because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then, right now, Miss Andrews is... Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss Von Karma. Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Matt on Guard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now, and is clinging on to them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is to get our not guilty. That is my only priority. It wasn't me, I'm begging you. Please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help, please. Someone, help me. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? The court can't continue on like this, therefore I'd like to hear what you intend to do. What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? Right, I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime. Who's the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? There's no one else it could be except the woman crying over there, right? Come on. What will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Oh, I got disconnected. That's not good. Let's try stop streaming.